Hi, good morning, everyone. So again, we are seeing some lackluster move in the markets today, but broadly, there is a lot of uh, activity that is happening in the broader market, and I think today it's worth talking about a bit of valuation as well, because accidents have happened mainly due to valuation, and I think this can help you to get some perspective about how to look at valuation and trading as well. Okay, so this session might be more helpful for medium to long term investors, but the same methodology actually can be applied to the short term technique as well, and I'll explain you how. Okay, in case if you'll have any questions, I can take it after I present it. So please let me know once you're able to see my screen. I'm just sharing my screen. Okay, uh, is my screen visible? Just drop a comment yes, so that I'm sure that y'all are able to see my screen, and then we can move forward. Okay, great. Thanks, Gurdeep, for the confirmation. So, see, I think the stocks or the examples that we are going to speak about are broadly this. I've made a watch list, and to make sure that I don't miss. Uh, okay, so I'll tell you how these stocks have come on my radar, and I'll tell you the process as well as to what I'm thinking and how I'm thinking. So, firstly, uh, the stock like Persistent, Coforge came into my watch list because I ended up seeing them in the biggest loser in Nifty 500. In fact, IEX is also one of them because of some news impact of its regulator. But these two were specifically due to results, and I was checking that what has gone wrong in this, because I knew that these are trading at a very high valuation, but when I went and checked its quarterly result and so on, right? It looked, good actually, because see over here, one good part is that you can obviously see the absolute numbers, but you can also see the growth numbers. For that, you just have to click over here and click on growth percentage. We are able to see this consistent year on year 20% growth, and in fact the pad growth is even better, right? So despite that, the market has punished them. I'm not sure, maybe it could be because of the commentary or what, I don't know. But this was one stock where I was a bit surprised with the kind of decline that we have seen today. The other one was Coforge. So over here as well, if you see the quarterly chart, quarterly PNL, okay, it broadly looked good. So there was one exceptional item which was there, that impacted the PAT positively by 70 crores. But if you see otherwise also the growth numbers, it's great. Like it's 34%, 42%, 44%. These are all YOY. Okay, in QOQ, of course, there is some seasonality also that comes into play. So that's why I was not looking at the QOQ number, but YOY, looked very good, considering all the numbers. Okay, like EBT also, PAT also. Without before the exceptional, was also a good 100% up than the previous quarter same year, right? But here is the catch that y'all should know. So see, because I have been looking at these things for a very long time now, so I already knew. So say something like Coforge. So what, one additional value add that we have given is that once you go towards any of the stock, we have recommended that which of the uh, valuation parameter you can possibly see, that is looking at the stock, they are in which sector or which segment. So based on that, we have given these recommended valuation parameters, right? So that will come at the top, and then the others that we have, that will follow on the downside. Now if you see something for Coforge, okay, it is trading at a PE of 76%. So you might say that okay, uh, it is growing at 30-40% and a PE of 76 might look reasonable, but everything you have to keep it in context of its historical valuation as well. Okay, I mean, you can see that earlier it used to trade at 10, 12, 13 kind of PE. Okay, after COVID especially, it started re-rating, and maybe around 20s or so it started trading, and after COVID, it went all the way to 70. Then we saw some meaningful correction after 2021, but then again it has now come back and it is almost at 78, 79, right? And these lines, okay, these lines, as you can see over here, these are all the standard deviation level from the average. So say for example, if I have chosen a max period, okay, so for this entire data point, the average is 22p, okay, if I have to consider the entire past. So now this average might change every time when I click on different time frames, okay, because it just checks the data of that particular period, right? And and based on that the average is selected. So say for 1 year the average is actually 66, okay. For 3 years the average is actually somewhere around 51 and so on. So the broader the time horizon it gets, because there are more data points with lower p, so your average p also drops, right? So but it is always important to keep into context. Okay, so if you're a medium to long term investor, ideally you would look at 10 years or max. But if you're a medium term investor, okay, you might look at 3 to 5 years. And if you're a short term, maybe 1 year is good enough. So that's why I told you this technique is helpful usually for medium to long term guys. But if you are a short to medium term trader, then also this can work out very well. So think of these lines as your Bollinger Bands. Okay, so this dark red line you can say is the 2SD, okay, in terms of valuation. And on the downside, this the green line that you see is minus 2SD. Okay, so it should ideally hover within that band. Now whenever your prices come below the averages or maybe towards the light green line or the dark green line, that's where you can say that the valuations are in your favor compared to the past. Okay, now the valuations can be low because of multiple reasons. The company might be facing problem and so on, so you need to dig a little deeper into that. But uh, understanding valuation become important, because at this point of time we are in an environment where even good results are getting bashed. Okay, I mean, this same thing I remember happened with Dixon last quarter, where it had posted a stellar quarter. I think it was almost 100% growth or something. Even Trend, it was a 30-40% growth, but the PE of those companies were 150, 200 and so on, and the company bashed them. I mean, and the market bashed them and they corrected significantly, right? So that's where understanding valuation becomes very important. Now see, I'll tell you how I think about it. Okay, first let me just, okay, there is someone saying that sound problem. Is sound a problem? Are you all able to hear me properly? Can you all just comment? Are you all able to hear me properly? Okay, I think I am not getting any response. I'm assuming I might be audible because I can't do anything. I have kept my mic near me. So yeah. So now coming back to this. So what do we do then, right? How do we think of valuations, and how do we think about medium to long term investing, or even short term investing for that matter, right? So see, I told you that I have prepared this list, right? So sometimes whenever the stocks pop into my list, Okay, that's where I think I have told repeatedly, strike comes into play, because you want to see it from all the aspects. Okay, technically, fundamentally, whatever possible that you can see, so that you can make those informed decisions. So say for example something like facts, okay, that came into my radar because I was checking this gainers list today, okay, and I saw fact has come, and I can see that broadly it is in an uptrend, and there is some sort of breakout also that seems to be happening over here. Okay, there was a breakout, then a pullback, and now it is again attempting to recover. So technically this would look very good, right? But when you see some of the actual facts of fact, you will be very surprised. And this is what actually I did right now, okay, and that's where I realized. So say for example this is fact, right? Now if I go inside and see what the company is doing, it will give you a very shocking result. So one thing that you need to note is that it is 90% owned by government, okay, because this is a government company, and only 0.87% is the float. So you can imagine uh, the manipulation that can possibly happen in this, right? So this is one thing, and this is actually into fertilizer space. So I know that Coromandel is like a very very good company in fertilizers. So when I see Coromandel, okay, the market cap of that, in between I had read, was even I mean Coromandel ka market cap was lesser than fact, okay, despite you can see the performance also of the stock. So just give me a second. Okay, if you see over here, the annual sales that it is making, that is almost around 24,000, making a PAT of 2,000, and that way it looks like a very good company, and its market cap is also 68,000, right? Now if you see the same for the fact, it is 63,000. At some point of time, fact had also gone above Coromandel, but now it has come back. But now you see over here 63,000. Okay, Coromandel had a revenue of somewhere around 24,000 or so. Now if I go and check these things, the revenue is 4,000, the PAT is 40 crore. Okay, that too, in that 40 crore, the other income is actually 216 crore, right? So I mean, it's very puzzling to see this. But that is the kind of perspective we tend to get if we try to think of all the aspects. See, if you're a trader, you might just end up seeing the chart and you might say, "Oh, the stock looks very bullish," because I can show you the setup and it actually looks good, right? I mean, there was this very big sharp up move, then there was a consolidation, and now again it is trying to move higher. Okay, and it is even taking support of the 40-day exponential average. So now the thing is that, can I bet? And if yes, then can I bet big is the question. So can I bet? The answer is yes, keeping this low as the stop loss. But can I bet big? I am not too sure, because it is 90% government owned. Someday government will come and they'll say, I want to sell it. And these often happen. I mean, so far it is not happening, but Musgao doc may and all, these things happen, right? So that is the risk I have, that overnight government coming and saying that, boss, I want to sell it. And MMTC, they did that only. If any of you who don't remember, I think it was maybe in Chidambaram's time only, they came and they sell in MMTC, and at that point of time I remember MMTC was somewhere around 7 800 900 or something like that, and they sold it at 80. So that's where these multiple circuits were in play, right? And that is because even MMTC had no value. Like you're seeing for fact also. Maybe I might be wrong, I don't know, but it was doing literally nothing, and it literally collapsed just in. I mean, you can see the daily chart. Every day it used to hit lower circuits. So you can see over here, then over here. So it was maybe around this time when they again came back with OFS and they wanted to sell more, and it literally collapsed, and the floor price was, say, almost 50, 60, 70% discount to the market price. So that's where getting a bit well versed with fundamentals can also help you, so that you are not in dumps. Now, see, so these three we discussed about. Now, we know that the market valuations is pretty high, right? uh, I mean, market participants tells that. And when I actually saw the mid cap index, okay, mid cap index ka price to book, see, valuation mein I cannot see PE right now for the max. That is because COVID distorted everything. Okay, so when profits were only not there, then of course P is gonna shot up. But when I was trying to see the price to book, so price to book is almost back to the 2008 high. Okay, and so far the valuations are sustaining above the 2 HD. Frankly, this is one chart that keeps me awake in the night, especially when the trend in the market becomes down, and if at all I am holding any smaller mid caps, right? So we need to be very cognizant of this fact that the mid cap index ka valuations are not cheap. Okay, in fact, it is at the 2 HD mark. If we go and check the historical data, in the small, we have still not gone to that extent. And if we see actually Nifty, it is quite reasonable for the Nifty index, right? So if I see the price to book of small cap, it is not there yet. Okay, so I mean, of course, these are not cheap valuations by any standard if we go by the past, but it is not so alarming as alarming it is for the mid cap index. So that's where, what I would want in such sort of environment is safety, and the company should also be doing well, right? So I would need all these things. Okay, so that's where, what I try and do is that I try to find the stocks, or maybe I try to identify that which sector is going to do well. Okay, if a sector is going to do well, then I will try to check how are all the stocks placed within that, right? So I had briefly discussed about FMCG as well, that I like, right? So within that, Zydus Wellness specifically caught my eye. Now, you will say that why did Zydus Wellness specifically caught your eye? So actually, I was tracking this bulk deal, block deal, okay, one day. And I mean, of course, I do that almost every day. So there I had seen that PPFAS has bought. Okay, and I really respect that mutual fund, because they have, I mean, they have literally picked you know awesome stocks which have gone up n number of times. So then I was trying to see that PPFAS has bought in current market at the time when they are having cash of 26-27% in the mutual fund. So this caught my eye. So I wanted to dig a little more deeper into Zydus Wellness, what they are doing. So then fundamentally I saw, basically, they did some acquisitions as well recently. uh, I mean, in the last couple of years. But now, what is happening to see is that the revenue growth has started to pick up, especially in 2025. There was a good revenue growth. There was a good PAT growth as well. So if you see the growth percentage, it was almost a 16% growth and a 30% growth in PAT. Okay, and it had almost been very lackluster for the past few years for them. Okay, but now it is starting to look up. Now the fun part is here. Okay, so in Zydus, you tend to look at market cap to sales or PE as well. So when I see the market cap to sales, that is almost below the -1 HD mark, right? So maybe that's the reason why PPFAS probably must have thought that that revenue has started to grow, and PE is, so if you see for any other consumer company, the PE would be north of 50, 60, which are good ones. But this was at a 38%. I mean, that is at a 38 times, and that too, if the earnings starts picking up, and at the current level, it will start looking cheap. So to solve this thing also, why we have made a company, I mean a screen called a strike valuation setup, okay, where we actually combine fundamentals plus momentum, okay. So for a long term investor, typically when we have a recipe of low valuation and a monthly bullish trend that is developing, and that is followed by a price action confirmation as well, it works out amazingly well, okay. So say for example something like this, Zydus Wellness, you can see that the stock has literally done nothing for a long time. If I change the parameter to say market cap to sales, okay, the market cap to sales is almost at the lowest point, right? And now the stock is on the verge of giving a bullish crossover. So I know that in price action terms, this is like a very big resistance for me, I mean, for the stock, right? So 2485, that is like a very strong resistance for this. But I think that at some point when this breaks on the upside, this will lead to a massive breakout and also a very big consolidation that it might result into a big move. That is what my guess is. And when you have fundamentals and valuations also on your side, it typically works out very well. Okay. So, now you would say that, boss, how, so are there any more interesting things that to watch out for? So I'll be very honest. Okay. QSR space is also something that I like. Now the reason is that the valuations are very cheap, but the only problem is that they are not turning around yet, and that is why they are trading cheap. So say for example, Barbecue Nation, okay, for any QSR, if you see, usually what happens is that their market cap to sales on an average in the long term is somewhere around 4 to 5 times, okay. So few stocks like Barbecue Nation and RBA, these are all the stocks which are trading almost 1 time or 1.5 time market cap to sales. So say for example, Barbecue Nation, when it listed, it traded at a 7 time, okay. It traded at 7 time, okay. Now you would say that this is a loss making company and so on. So I mean, that is why PE is not formed over here, because it has been making some losses. But market cap to sales, it is almost at 1. Now the other thing that, so if the company is loss making, then I see what is happening with the cash flow, and I can see that the cash flow is also improving, over a period of time. So this is also because of the, I think, the new rule which the new accounting rule which has been implemented. So due to which, the cash flows optically look good, but nevertheless, the overall cash flow looks good, and I mean, it looks good. And so you have to strip off, I think, rent or something from this, which basically comes into, I think, financing activity and so on. But uh, but yeah, I mean, broadly this look okay, okay. And then I'll tell you why I say Barbecue Nation caught my eye, because it has been going down for a very very long time, right? But many other contrarian investors, say like Kenneth Andrade and all, they are having a close eye on this, okay, and they are possibly uh, buying in their funds as well, if I'm not wrong. So over there also, I found it somewhere. I think QIP or Bulk Deal, Block Deal, somewhere I had found out this. But for here in the long term, you can see that it is in a falling channel, right? And now it is trying to turn around. So in terms of the averages and all, it is not out of the woods yet, but bullish crossover from here. And if you look at the daily chart, okay, it has gone sideways for quite some time now. There was this up move and it has gone sideways for quite some time now. So maybe if a breakout from this consolidation happens, then it might become an interesting stock to watch out for. That is also because the valuations are cheap. So a similar case is in Restaurant Brand Asia as well, right? That is also into QSR. And in fact, over here the technical setup is also looking good, right? So you can see over here the averages are being held. uh, if you see the strike valuation setup, which is the combination of fundamental and technical. Okay, let me do it 10 years. So what you can see over here is that there is a bullish crossover, and the valuations are at a minus 1 HD mark, right? And if you see company ka EBITDA and all, I mean that also seems to be doing. I mean they're doing reasonably fine. So if you see the EBITDA over here, there is some growth that you are seeing. Uh, you know for this, basically depreciation is very high, but depreciation, all we know, is a non-cash item, right? So if we look at the cash flow, their cash flows are improving steadily as well. Okay, so valuation on your side, cash flows are interesting. Technically also you're able to see some turnaround. So it works out very well from a medium term perspective when there is a confluence of all these things, right? So I think broadly that is how it is, and that is how I look at the strike valuation setup as well, and valuation in general when I am also looking to trade or invest or something. So as I mentioned, see, the short term trader can also use it. All they have to do is that change the time horizon. So say for example, I'll give you an example of TCS. Okay, now TCS, because so one thing that what we have done is that when you look at the strike valuation setup, right, we have assigned some time frame to the years. Okay, so if you do 1 year, you will see a daily chart. If you do 3 year, 5 year, you will see a weekly chart, because we feel that looking at the weekly chart makes more sense. Okay, so that's where you will see these kind of screen. So see over here, there was this valuation that was almost over there. We got a bit of a bump, but then it again went down. Okay, so when you are trading, okay, you might want to trade when the signal is coming on the bullish crossover and the valuations are cheap, and you also need to understand the technicals as well. Okay, so when the prices are below the 20 week, for example, in this case, okay, you might not be very aggressive. Okay, but when it starts moving above the 20 week, all we know is that there will be at some point of time some mean reversion that may happen. And and at this point of time it might look like everything is in dumps, but when you see the chart, and if say for example this is a rock solid support for TCS, right? So if the TCS is coming over here and then I'm seeing some sort of signals also playing out, then I'll be very interested in this stock. Also because I told you few days back, in futures also the open interest is extremely high, and the people are shorting the stock like left, right, and center. Okay, typically when such moves happen, I mean when there are a lot of shorting positions that are there, it typically resolves on the upside. So this is again a more medium to long term indicator. But at some point of time, TCS might end up getting interesting. Now whether it bottoms out over here or around this zone, that we need to see. But at a medium to long term, it has started to look interesting, because in 1, 3, 5 years, it is almost at the minus 2 HD mark. At 10 years, it is approaching the minus 1 HD, and on max it is just at average, right? So so yes, so that is how it is. And one more stock I remember how I had bought it was, so this was Samvardhana Motherson. Okay, if you see their EBIT, PAT, they were all growing, and I was puzzled why the stock is not playing out. Because in 2023 or something, I think there was a very nice up move that we had seen. So let me do it max. Okay, so now you can see over here. So it was around this 2023 point, and there was, if you see the weekly chart of this, okay, there was this double bottom formation that the stock had made over here. Okay, sorry, it was over here that a double bottom sort of pattern was made over here, and then it had broken out from a double bottom. And at that point of time the valuations were also low. Okay, so forget about weekly, I was also checking how the monthly RMI is behaving. Okay, so around this point when the double bottom breakout happened, it was accompanied by a bullish crossover on monthly RMI as well. Okay, and the valuations were cheap. So eventually, there was a good sort of up move that we saw, because even if we consider somewhere over year 56, it had gone all the way to 150, and it was a 2x 3x in a matter of 1 to 2 year. Okay, so that's where now again, if you see over here, the valuations are again back towards the lower end of the range. So in that sense, this sort of gives you that comfort that the valuations are decent for the stock. Now whenever you get signals or crossovers, you might be more interested into the stock. That is because, see, for example, if I see the daily chart, it has literally gone sideways for some time now. Okay, so if there is a breakout over here, and then say on the weekly chart, if the technical setup is supportive, then this might also end up becoming a good stock to watch out for from a medium to long term perspective, mainly because I am seeing that the valuations are not demanding. Okay, and the company seems to be growing well as well, because if I see the fundamentals over here, and if I see the annual results, okay, I can see that there is a good growth that has happened in 2025 as compared to 2024, right? So I might of course want to see how the results play out, but the valuation looks decent, and it looks in my favor. So all I would then watch out for is that whether I'm getting some signals in the short to medium term or no. Okay, say in bullish crossovers, or the averages being broken on the upside and so on. So I think uh, I think that's it from my side. I've tried my best to explain you the strike valuation setup and how do I think about it. Maybe you might have a different perspective, uh, but yeah, I mean, so that's my take. If you have any questions, then I am happy to take it. So Devesh is asking, can we talk about Berger Paint? So Berger Paint, I think, so there are some spikes observed. I mean, I had observed this morning when I was looking at all the charts, but this will be resolving it. Okay, so just want to let you know this, that we are aware of this problem. So there was, I think, 1 or 2 days ka data that was not processed properly, due to which we are seeing some spike. But say for example, Berger Paint, when we look EV to EBITDA and so on, um, I mean, the valuation had become extremely high, even in 20. So 2020 is also because uh, some sort of earning dip was there, but in general you can see that uh, the valuations were high for them, and in fact, even based on the PE, if we forget about the COVID time. But in general, also, it used to trade at 68, 69. It is still very high. That is because if you see the growth, I mean, they're not growing to that extent, right? If you see the growth, the PAT is growing 1%, 2%, top line is growing 3 to 5%. How can 50p can be justified? I'm not sure. But that's where we then look at the charts and see what is the weekly and the monthly chart telling you. And the monthly chart says that it is in some sort of consolidation, right? So if the consolidation breaks out on the upside, maybe you want to have a look at it. But when I see those things like growth is not happening and a 50p 60p stock is there, it makes me a little nervous. Gurdeep says, please add color code indicators like Dow theory indicator. It helps a lot. And uh, okay, we might think about it. We honestly did not see it. So, uh, Someone is asking about Syngene, someone is asking about Bajaj Auto. Guys, I have explained you the process. You can please check on Strike. For that you just have to type any stock. Say for example Bajaj Auto, right? You have to check over there, go to fundamentals, and go to valuations, and you will be able to see it. Okay, you will be able to see all the charts, right? So please go there and check it. You yourself will understand what to do and what not to do, and where the valuations are. uh, I think, yes, I we should be talking about Nifty. I forgot that today because actually there were a lot of interesting things that were happening on valuation front. So let's quickly do that and then wind up. Okay. So one thing is that there, yesterday also we saw a bit of a short covering in the Nifty index, but there has been nothing, any significant movement in the FI's positioning as such. And also, when we look at so I was checking the Nifty index ka setup. So on the hourly chart, one thing that has happened is that it has started to make higher high, higher low. But now, the averages are being challenged and there is a sell crossover. So I'm not sure. But basically, in terms of levels, this becomes an important support level for the Nifty index. Okay. It should ideally not break. And if at all, it has to maintain this higher top, higher bottom formation, right? So this low at least should not be broken. So let's see. I think I'm hopeful that eventually ये breakout होना चाहिए. How does it happen? When does it happen? Needs to be seen. But yes, I mean, see, we were talking about yesterday also the resistance level, right? 25255, and the 61.8% retracement level, which is somewhere around 25,370. These are the two resistance level to watch out for on the upside, and on the downside, ideally, somewhere around 20 25,000 to 2535 or so. That is an important support level for the Nifty index. So let's see what it does. I mean, so far we are seeing this higher top, higher bottom formation that is happening, and on based on Dow theory, at least the uptrend is there. But if this level gets broken on the downside, then maybe there can be a little more trouble. So we need to see how it unfolds. Also, because on the daily chart it has moved back to the 40-day exponential average, right? So 40-day exponential average and this swing low which is there on the daily chart, this becomes an important watching point. If at all we get some more gains, or we see some follow up gains, the RMI is sort of bottoming out, and we might get at some point a bullish crossover as well. So let's see how it unfolds. I mean, we need to see a bullish crossover that will give us a lot more confidence. But in terms of level, the support level of 25,035, that is what it is showing on the daily chart, that needs to be held, and the 40-day exponential average, which is at 25,053. These will be the important downside level to watch out for in the near term. There is nothing more to discuss about sentiment, because I already spoke that there are many sentiment indicators that have already showed an bearish move. So there has been some uptick in the PCR OI, that is the OI PCR. We need to see a little more follow through and a bit of a price action also to confirm that. So I think that's about it. Maybe in the Nifty index, the levels, I'll just repeat once again, to watch out for is: one is the previous high 25255, and on the downside somewhere around 25,000 to 25,035 zone. That will be an important downside to watch out for. So I think that's it from today's session. It's 11:40 now. I hope you found the strike valuation setup interesting, because the screen was designed basically to catch not just fundamentally cheap companies, but also where the momentum is happening, because sometimes you all know that value stocks can become a value trap. So such sort of uh, setups, when you see, I mean, valuation with respect to the momentum, it can sometimes help you to stay away from the ones which are going to correct a lot. That is because their weekly and the monthly RMI might not be supporting, despite the valuation being in their favor. So valuations in your favor, along with a bullish crossover on weekly, on monthly RMIs, and prices crossing some important hurdles, like maybe a high or a averages. So that combination of all these things work out very well. That has been my observation. So try this out, check it by yourself, and you will understand how well it works. If you are on the lower time frame, I mean, if you want to say, think of something from 2 weeks to 4 weeks kind of perspective, you can go to valuations, and you can do uh, 1 year, and then try and combine technical and fundamental. Okay, because so I'll just share you an example. What I had done, there was a panic in Nifty index, right? When the correction was happening, even the sentiment data was not so good. So what I did was that I went to the 1 year PE of Nifty index, and I saw that it is actually coming to the minus 2 HD mark, when this corrective move. And then when this bullish crossover had also happened, this ended up resulting in a 8 to 10% kind of move. Okay. Again, over here, the crossover happened. You saw a big move. So a combination of valuation plus momentum can also help you a lot, even in the short term. So of course, in medium term, you can use 3 5. The process is the same. Okay, it's just the time horizon which suits you. You need to check that. So thanks a lot for joining today. I hope you learned something new and interesting today. We will keep a track of whatever we have been talking so far, and see how it unfolds, so that we have this live learning as to how to think about stocks, what is the process to follow, and so on. So thanks once again. See you tomorrow. I think today is Thursday, right? So yeah, we will see tomorrow, and then after, we'll do on at 11 o'clock during the market hours. Okay. Thanks a lot for your time. See you.